Today I am going to teach you the third part of the chapter. We were not afraid to die, written by Gordon Cocan, Allen East. So let us go to the chapter, the third part. But Wave Walker rode out the storm, and by the morning of January 6, with the wind easing, I tried to get a reading on the sextant. Back in the Khartoum, I worked on wind speeds, changes of course, drift and current in an effort to calculate our position. The best I could determine was that we were somewhere in 150,000 kilometers of ocean looking for a 65-kilometer wide island. So, Wave Walker rode out the storm, cross over the storm actually, and the wind had become easy by the morning of 6th January. The narrator read the sextant. In Khartoum, he wanted to calculate the speed and direction of the storm and their position, where they are by that time location. In his calculation, he found that looking for 65-kilometer island, they were somewhere covered 150,000 kilometers. While I was thinking, Sue, moving painfully, joined me. The left side of her head was now very swollen and her blackened eyes narrowed to slits. She gave me a card she had made. On the front of she had drawn caricature of Mary and me with the words, "Here are some funny people. Did they make you laugh?" I laughed a lot as well. Inside was a message. "Oh, how I love you both." So this card is to say thank you and let's hope for the best. Somehow we had to make it. As he was sitting and thinking, his daughter Sue came and joined him. And she was in great pain. The left side of her head was very swollen. Her black eyes were narrowed to slits. She gave him a card in front of which she drawn caricature of Marian, the narrator. Inside the card there was a message that she loved them both and said thank you and let's hope for the best. Somehow he had to escape from this terrible situation. I checked and rechecked my calculations. We had lost our main compass and I was using a spare which had not been corrected for magnetic variation. I made an allowance for this and another estimate of the influence of the westerly currents which flow through this part of the Indian Ocean. So, he was involved all the moment calculating whether they will reach to one of these islands. So, he made some rough estimate. Also, influences of the westerly currents which flow through this part of the Indian Ocean. About 2 p.m., I went on deck and asked Larry to steer a course of 185 degrees. If we were lucky, I told him, with a conviction I did not feel, I could expect to see the island at about 5 p.m. So, at 2 p.m., the narrator went to Larry to steer the ship at 185 degrees. Though he had strong belief, still he was not sure to see the island. And if they were lucky, they will be able to see the island at about 5 p.m. Then, with a heavy heart, I went below, climbed on my bunk, and amazingly dozed off. When I woke, it was 6 p.m. and growing dark. I knew we must have missed the island, and with the sail we had left, we could not hope to beat back into the westerly winds. So, his heart is heavy because he did not have any hope of reaching the island. So, he climbed onto his bunk and amazingly he dozed off, means sleep. He thought it would be very difficult to go to the westerly wind again. At that moment, a tussle head appeared by my bunk. "Can I have a hug?" Jonathan asked. She was right behind him. "Why am I getting a hug now?" I asked. "Because you are the best daddy in the whole world and the best captain," my son replied. "Not today, John, I am afraid." "Why, you must be," said Sue in a matter-of-fact voice. "You found the island." "What?" I shouted. So, at that moment, Jonathan, along with Sue, appeared by his bunk. And Jonathan asked him, "Can I have a hug?" He asked why he would get him a hug then. "Because you are the best daddy in the whole world and the best captain." The narrator was afraid that they were losing the island because he was not expecting to reach that island. She was also supported that she told that you found the island. He was surprised and out of excitement he had shouted, "What?" "It's out there in front of us," they chorused, "as big as a battleship." I rushed on deck and gazed with relief at the stark outline of Ely Amsterdam. It was only a bleak place of volcanic rock with little vegetation, the most beautiful island in the world. So, all of them said together that it is in front of us. So, the island was as big as a battleship. He went out excitedly on the deck and get relief to see the stark outline of Ely Amsterdam. It was a black piece of volcanic rock. It had little vegetations, but still it appeared to be the most beautiful island in the world for them. We anchored offshore for the night, and the next morning all 28 inhabitants of the island shared as they helped us ashore. So, they anchored offshore for that night, and next day morning 28 inhabitants of that island shared them and helped them to get onto that island. With land under my feet again, my thoughts were full of Larry and Herbie, cheerful and optimistic under the direst stress, and of Mary, who stayed at the wheel for all those crucial hours. And most of all, I thought of a 7-year-old girl who did not want us to worry about a head injury, which subsequently took 6 minor operations to remove a recurring blood clot between skin and skull, and of a 6-year-old boy who was not afraid to die. So, the moment they land on the island or step on the island, he thought about Laurie and Herbie. Both were fully happy. They were always optimistic even during the worst situation they had faced together. He was also thinking about Mary, who has with them in their crucial hours or difficult times. He even thought about his 7-year-old daughter who had a head injury and who did not want to disturb her parents during the time of distress. Subsequently, there was 6 minor operations to remove blood clot between skin and scalp for that little girl. And their son, who showed his exemplary courage and was not afraid to die. This was the chapter. Let us go to the questions. Question first. Justify the title, We Are Not Afraid to Die. Answer. The name of the lesson is logically justified. The challenges they had to face in course of adverse situations is aptly said. The dangerous experience and hardship they faced boldly. Their perfect teamwork helped them to survive against such disaster. The narrator, crewmen like Larry and Hub, and even the children showed a rare courage. They declared that they were not afraid to die. Their optimism helped them to overcome the challenges. The wave walker could not withstand the nature's fury, but their patience and hard work rewarded in the end. They safely reached in the island, Ily Amsterdam. So, the title is absolutely appropriate. See the second question. Why did Jonathan ask for a hug and call him the best daddy and best captain in the world? Children were excited to see the island at few distance from them. They saw it before the narrator. Jonathan asked if he could have a hug. The narrator was surprised. His son told that he was the best daddy in the whole world and the best captain. The narrator was afraid that they were losing the island, so he said, "Not now." Both the children shouted that the island was in front of them and it was as big as a battleship. Question 3. How did they pass the first leg of their journey? Everything went well in their first leg of their planned 3 years, 1,05,000 kilometers journey. It passed pleasantly as they sailed down the west coast of Africa to Cape Town. But the trouble started when they left Cape Town. On the second day out of Cape Town, they began to encounter strong gales and waves. That's all. If you like my videos, do like, share and subscribe. Thank you.